Greetings game crafters, you're tuned into the right channel for mastering game development. From minion waves and tower placements to complex collider handling, we've done it all. In this episode, we're going to introduce a health system for our minions, complete with an engaging health bar UI. So ready to add a little more vitality to our minion hordes? Buckle up and let's start the journey. Go to the hierarchy panel, right click, UI, and let's add a canvas. Great. Now in here, right click on the canvas, UI, and let's add a slider. Let's rename it to health bar. Double click the health bar and click here for a 2D view so we can see it perfectly. Now the health bar has several components: the background, the fill area, and the handle slider. Now we don't require the handle, so we're going to remove it as we are going to change the health from within the code. And we're left with that. The health bar, if we go under the slider component, you can see you have value. Now if you increase the value, you will see the bar is going up. But we have this portion here that is not really filled. So how can we fix that? Click on the fill area, select the grab tool, and just put it on max here. Great. Now if you go back on the health bar, you try to move it, you see it fills correctly all the way. Now, the fill area, so you open it up, you go to fill, and let's add a color. I will add a green color. And for the background, let's add a red color. Now, if we try to use the value slider again, when the enemy gets damaged, we're going to see this red value here. Now, we also have these two other parameters here, min val and max val. Currently, max val is set to 1, but I'll just change that to 100 so the minion has 100 life points. Okay, so now let's make sure that the health bar is what we want the health bar to look like when we have an enemy. So go into the 3D view, go back to the board, bring your enemy into the scene, and check if the size of the health bar is what you want. For me, this looks a bit thin, so I'll go back into the health bar, 2D view, and make the health bar a bit thicker. Maybe something like this. And now in the prefabs folder, right click, create folder, UI, and bring the health bar into the UI folder. Delete the health bar from the scene. Delete the enemy bomber. And let's go into the scripts folder and see what we can do there. Okay, now we're back into the enemy controller script. And in here, we need to do two things. We need to first create a public slider. Oh, it won't allow you. You can go on top of the file and say using Unity engine.ui. So you want a public slider. Let's call it health bar prefab. And you also want a slider, which is a private variable called health bar. Cool. Now let's go into Unity. Go to your enemy and click on it, lock it to the inspector. Then in the UI prefabs folder, just bring in the health bar here so we're not forgetting about it. Let's go back into the scripts folder. In here, we're going to make use of another public int max health. We will be changing this max health in the future because we're going to make use of scriptable objects, but for now this is good for testing. So we have max health, And in the start method, we want to first instantiate the health bar. So health bar equals instantiate health bar prefab. So we want to instantiate this health bar, and we want to position it at this transform position. So basically where the enemy is spawned, and we can give it a quaternion identity, so no rotation. And then this health bar will sit in our hierarchy panel. However, we want it to go inside the canvas. So to do that, you can just simply call health bar transform set parent, and we need to find the game object of the canvas. So game object find canvas, and we need to pass in the transform. Now we need to set the max value of the health bar, and we can do that by simply calling health bar max value equals max health, and then we can call health bar value and also assign max health, because when the enemy spawn, it should have maximum health. Let's not forget to initialize this variable. Let's make it 100. And now we have the health bar instantiated. However, it's set as a child to the canvas, so it won't move with our enemy. So we can do that in the update method. We can check if we have a health bar, and if we have a health bar, we can simply just follow the player. How we do that is by calling health bar transform position equals to camera main world to screen point, and we want to pass the enemy position, which is this transform position, plus a vector 3 up, so we want to position it a bit on top of the enemy, times a value. You can put whatever fits well to your setup, so I'm going to put 1.2 health. And now the second thing we have to do is to actually manage to make the enemy lose some health. So we can do that by creating another method called hit. So public void hit. We pass in the damage amount we want to make. And if we have a health bar, we're going to subtract the damage from the health bar. And we can do that simply by calling health bar value minus equals damage. Once the health bar value is smaller or equal to 0, we should destroy the game object. Now, before destroying the game object, we need to destroy another thing. I misspelled this, so damage. Yep, and here we need to destroy also the health bar game object. Great, let's see if that works. Go back into Unity. And hit play. The health bar is a bit on top, so let's go back into the script and make this a bit smaller. Let's say 0.8. Let's go back in, hit play, and that's perfect. Now we have our health bars on top of the minions. And just like that, we've given our enemies a fighting chance, complete with the dynamic health bar. Now, our tower will have to work a bit harder to take down their foes. Thanks for joining us on this exciting game crafting journey today, adding a much needed dose of vitality to our minions. But our work doesn't stop here. In the next episode, we'll be introducing some heavy artillery. We're going to create projectile scripts and give our towers the ability to damage the enemies. It's about time our towers start fighting back. You won't want to miss this next step in our journey. So if you found value in today's episode, don't forget to hit that like button and make sure subscribing and having notification bell on so you'll be the first to know when our next tutorial drops. Until next time, keep coding, keep gaming, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy coding!